Our work, this is ESRI's work, is about enabling you to do your work with a technology platform, and we take that very serious. I want to thank you for letting us do that. I get to work with some really incredible people, and you're going to meet a lot of them today, in the endeavor of building this platform. And the notion, how we think of it, how we think of ourselves, is building the enabling stuff that allows you to make a difference in your work, building a more open world. A few weeks ago, we released a technology we've been working on for years, version 10.1. This is a major step forward for us. It makes your platform easier and more functional, and for the first time, fully cloud-enabled. We haven't really said that very much till just now. It's envisioned by Scott Morehouse, my colleague, and who will be speaking later today, as a complete system, engineered as a complete system with servers and cloud parts and desktops closely integrated, as well as a whole plethora of little new apps on devices and in web apps. And also, as part of this system, there's a huge amount of content. So this morning I'm going to be talking about two things. One is all the new improvements that have been made and are going to help make your lives easier, faster, more productive. And I'm also going to talk about 10.1 in the context of transformational opportunities, referencing back to the sort of vision discussion I had a minute ago. Content inside of ArcGIS is growing very rapidly. We've spent a huge amount of resources in building these base maps by taking and integrating the best available data. We spend a lot of resources buying commercial data and then working with you to build these kind of community-built systems, base maps, topographic maps, oceanographic maps now, and others. Also image maps. This little animation on the left shows the imagery that we had, let's see, I'll let it catch up, last year and tomorrow, and then in the next 6 months. You get the picture? It's sort of last year, 50 million square kilometers just added from GeoIQ, and then in the next 6 months, another 100 million square kilometers of new imagery from Digital Globe. Which, by the way, those two companies just merged this morning. Did you read that? Digital Globe, GeoI just became one company. It's kind of interesting news. Yeah. And they also coincidentally signed a strategic partnership where we buy this imagery from them, we mosaic it, we make it available to you. Now, here's the surprise, that in the United States, this imagery is 30 centimeters. In Europe, it's 60 centimeters, covering basically all of Europe, and the rest of the world 1 meter. This is all going to be available to you in a few months, free as part of ArcGIS Online. At 10.1, we have a better desktop. It improves mapping and visualization and editing with dynamic legends and new generalization tools, more map automation, and also we're including the Mapplex engine for high-quality, rules-based labeling as part of all the desktop products. We've also streamlined editing and integrated QA/QC tools and integrated workflow management and editor tracking, so we know who updated what features. This is going to save a lot of time and increase productivity for most of you. At 10.1, we also advance analytics in the platform. This not only adds many new tools like exploratory regression and some statistical tools and things like time-aware routing, but in a couple of months with the Service Pack 1 of this product, we will release 64-bit geoprocessing for the desktop. You've asked for it. We've also made many of the core spatial analysis tools much faster. twice as fast, 5 times as fast, and in some cases in the raster domain, as fast as 30 times faster and more simplified. This will advance geographic science, but it'll also create new tools and new methodologies for complex problem solving, particularly in the predictive analytics area, which I know many of you are so interested in. 10.1 advances 3D capabilities. It improves the visualization aspect of ArcGIS, but also on the analytics side. That means faster globes. It means bigger data sets are able to be handled in more stable platforms for not only globe visualization, but virtual cities and buildings and landscapes. And then there's the analytics side. At 10.1, we introduce a number of new analytic 3D tools for 3D analytic tools for things like viewshed or shadow analysis or shade analysis. Last year, some of you know we acquired City Engine, a rules-based 3D visualization company in Switzerland, and we've been working hard on integrating that technology with ArcGIS. In a couple of months, we will release something called City Engine 2012, and it's a rule-based system for building virtual cities like in a couple of minutes, hundreds of thousands of features. Last year we showed Cars 2.0, the movie. You remember, some of you watched that movie. In London, the whole scene was built using this rules-based engine, and you will find this a very practical tool for your own creation. We'll see some of it later. It'll also introduce in 2012 City Engine something that's represented here in this little animation, which is extruding a building and 3D editing, designing of a building. Very exciting 3D editor, a full 3D editor capability. Particularly those of you in geodesign will find it intriguing and valuable. 10.1 unlocks LiDAR data. LiDAR data, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like radar. It sees through trees and it measures topographic surfaces, like they call it bald earth, or the top of canopy. By integrating directly LiDAR data files through LAS files with ArcGIS, it means we have power to visualize LiDAR and do analytics. So those of you who have these drawers full of LiDAR data, it's going to come alive with powerful tools. And we'll see some of that demonstrated later this morning. At 10.1, ArcGIS fully integrates image processing. We support many common tasks, like on the desktop, classification, high-quality visual display, color balancing, orthorectification. And at 10.1, we integrate full-motion video, these things from drones or aircraft like the one over here on the side of the stage. We also allow users in, by the way, this is in ArcView, or what now it's called ArcGIS Basic. For the desktop, all of these tools are available, a full image processing system. It also allows us to bring in a new image and automatically rectify it to imagery that's there. Does pixel matching, and again you'll see it live in a couple of minutes. On the server side, very fast serving, dynamic color mosaicing and integration, and also massively scalable data management of imagery. This is an open platform, and it's also supported by a number of our partners like Axelis, who extend this platform with high-end capabilities. You can tell I'm interested in this imagery thing. It's extraordinary. 10.1 simplifies the notion of authoring and serving. So if I have a desktop, I can create a beautiful map, right-click, turn it into a package, send it into a server, and have it automatically turn into a service with no work at all. I can do the same thing with analytics, with models, make analytic services. And if I don't have a server, I can send it to the cloud and have it done inside of ArcGIS Online. This is going to make it much easier to share your information or serve your information. It just automates the whole process. Speaking about the server, 10.1 is perhaps the most dramatic, well, the server is probably the most dramatic thing that has changed. I mean, we actually almost re-engineered the entire platform. It's much easier to use and much faster. It's developed in native 64-bit architecture. It's highly scalable. And those of you who have deployed server on Windows, well, that's good, but we also now support at the same level Linux platforms. It's good. It's also just simpler administration tools, and you can do web printing, which was the #1 request from you. Also, we have improved standards support, OGC standards and web standards and the like. And then there's updated apps and APIs. I want to spend a little bit more time on that apps business because it is launching a whole new era for us as GIS practitioners. 10.1 includes many ready-to-use, lightweight apps. These will be the keys for providing free, pervasive access to your systems. These are apps that are easily configurable, and they support all the leading platforms. You know some of them, like the Flex Viewer or Silverlight tools or Explorer. At 10.1 Plus, that's a couple months away, we're also releasing apps which are easily configurable on the Windows environment. And also we're releasing natively these same kind of apps on the Mac. There you go. Also, these apps are running on devices. Speaking about devices, these mobile apps run on all the popular devices. Windows, all the Apple devices, iOS, the Android devices. And they have a whole bunch of rich functionality, not just viewing, not simply navigating. No, editing, field data collection, support for crowdsourcing approaches. And they run in the native mode on each of these devices, so they take advantage of the unique characteristics of the devices. But we also support apps for HTML5, so you can write something and they move across. And finally, they support this concept of one map. What does that one map vision really mean? It means I build one web map and it runs on all devices. So there's this interesting relationship between web maps and apps. What's a map? What's an app? Well, that's a challenge for you to figure out during the week, but you'll do it. 10.1 does something also special. It empowers developers because we provide runtimes and APIs sort of behind the scenes for these apps that are easy to deploy, and they're very fast and very small, and they run in desktop and in web and in devices, and again all the platforms are supported. Well, 10.1 finally supports some, I should say, 10.1 supports solution templates, not finally. We've been working on this for years. These address common workflows and patterns of different industries, local government, utilities. These are free apps that are open sourced with maps and data models that you can download, configure a little bit, and save a lot of time with. What we've been attempting to do is work with you to leverage best practices with different key users that'll help you deploy faster and easier and go with the grain of what the software is all about. And I think this will help you be successful, more successful. They're also designed, by the way, for partners to leverage and build on top of. I've talked a lot about the sort of feature function additions to ArcGIS at 10.1. I want to shift the conversation now to this other side, which is 10.1 providing transformational opportunities. And in other words, getting at the issue of geography as a platform. ArcGIS is at a major turning point. It's becoming a system for your entire organization. Maybe I should say it's been engineered to be a system for your entire organization. This means integration of cloud platform technologies in the form of ArcGIS Online, supporting the GIS professionals. but also a whole myriad of tools and apps that support access and use by everybody in the organization. This is a theme of this conference, and you'll see it again and again showing up on the stage this morning and this afternoon. Here, one of our partners has been the US Department of Interior, who had early insight into what this might mean for that agency. And we'll see some examples of it in a few minutes. This cloud capability is now a fundamental part of ArcGIS. It's one of the big themes I want you to sort of get. You don't have to use it. You don't have to apply it, but you should. Why? Well, it provides a kind of content management for users, how they organize and they share their information. It supports intuitive mapping for everybody in the organization, the knowledge workers, the executives. It supports the concept of sharing and collaboration, working together around maps. It supports the notion of free web apps and mobile apps that people can interact with your data on. It also supports the notion of out-of-the-box integration with many other enterprise IT systems. And it's also open. You can put any kind of data into it and access it from different apps through APIs. This also has the unique characteristic of integrating ArcGIS with the whole cloud computing revolution, which means scalability, low cost, only pay for what you're using in the way of computer infrastructure resources. This is exciting stuff. ArcGIS Online has been something that we've been telling you about, showing you aspects of for some time. At this stage, 10.1, it's different. It actually integrates with the entire suite of tools. And, well, it'll make things like integration of your own servers and your own desktops easy to do, and cataloging of your information and backup hosting. So if you don't have a server, you can use the cloud server. And then it supports open access from any client, these apps that I've been talking about. And then it's easily configured for your organization. That aspect is very appealing to people. Of course, there's ArcGIS Online. We have our own homepage and our own gallery and our own groups and our own little maps. But EPA, Malcolm's organization, has taken that platform and deployed it on-premise with his own homepage and his own gallery and his own groups and his own web maps. And so is Utah, and so have actually hundreds of cities and states and organizations like Stone Environmental, a private consulting company, just to get their information organized and shared. The medium of this is web maps. I've said web maps now 7 times this morning. What are web maps? Web maps are a new medium for ArcGIS. They integrate services. They're kind of like mashups. I can bring this service, this service, this service together and persist them in a web map. And I can share that, I can email it, I can look at it from any device, I can integrate it into my desktop work, I can put it in my website, etc. And they support visualization, but they also support pop-ups, queries, and analytics, and also I can edit them. Of course, I'm not editing the web map. I'm editing back to the original server of data that's coming and making the web map. This little device that has been invented here is going to make geographic information useful everywhere, in any app, in any environment. ArcGIS now also, as of last Friday, works within Microsoft Office. This is supposed to be a big announcement, by the way. It's cool. Yeah. I think by last record, there's like 850 million Office users. I'm thinking, this is a good way to get our web maps out. Well, it's not exactly that simple. Office users who use things like spreadsheets now have a little toolbar inside of them that allows them to take the spreadsheet and make a map of it. That's cool all by itself. But then we can take that map and send it over to the cloud, ArcGIS Online, and turn it into a service. That's very cool. Then I can use that map service to integrate with other services, or I can read those maps back into other Office environments. One of them is PowerPoint, because I can take my maps now, web maps or the Office-generated maps, and simply put them into my PowerPoint. And so you're saying, well, Jack, let's see that. So let's suppose one of these maps were a live map. It isn't, but I just would like you to think that. In my PowerPoint display, I could click the map, and it immediately is a web map that's live and dynamic and linked back to the original data. That's a very cool notion. So inside of Office, inside of PowerPoint, inside of email systems, and also integrated into SharePoint. Well, pretty interesting ways to begin to extend the power of your work into these other medium environments across the organization.